All right, if I could have your attention, we'll get started. Just an opening comment from me, in that this is a public hearing that's been called in accordance with Indiana Code 3643. The purpose of this meeting is to hear public testimony. The city has sent packages of material to each landowner in the 2 annexation areas as required by statute. And the city has also conducted meetings and other discussions for the purpose of providing public information and answering public questions. Tonight is an opportunity exclusively provided to the public. Elected officials will have ample opportunities. In addition to general efforts to inform the public, the city engaged the Public Financial Services of Reedy Financial Group to prepare a parcel-by-parcel estimate of the impact of annexation on each parcel in the annexation areas. Representatives of Reedy Financial Group have been here all afternoon to answer questions from individuals. Tonight is the public's opportunity to testify on proposed annexations. The city and its representatives have made it clear that it's okay for citizens to be opposed to annexation for no reason at all, if they so choose. We respect the opinions of each person, and this evening we intend to hear the testimony that the public might choose to offer. In order to assure that the public can speak freely, and in order to assure that the statutory requirements are met, I will remove myself from the platform and give the gavel to our attorney, Jason Stevenson, of the law firm Barnes & Thornburg, to conduct the public hearing in full accordance with statutory requirements. I hope that this action helps the public discussion to transcend the personal and allow our community the opportunity to have a good and robust discussion about the future of Logansport and improving our community's economic development opportunities. With that, I hereby turn over the gavel to Jason Stevenson to hear testimony of the public with regard to the proposed 2 annexations.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. I just wanted to we have a large group, and that's wonderful. So we want to lay some ground rules tonight. We want to hear first from property owners or their representatives that are located within the annexation area that have testimony they want to provide. Due to the large group, we're going to limit speaking time to 5 minutes so that we make sure we give everyone an opportunity who wants to say something the opportunity to say something. And we're also going to limit each person to 1 round. So when you get up and speak, try to remember to say everything you have to say, because we want to make sure that we don't have people getting up multiple times and precluding others from standing up and sharing their point of view. So with that, we've got a sign-up sheet. And I'm just going to go through the list and ask if you would come up and speak and provide your testimony so that the council can listen. We're not going to be responding tonight. We've had a number of meetings where we've met with individuals, and I've been in these meetings on a number of occasions, and it's challenging to provide responses to all the questions that come out in a public hearing. And so this is your opportunity to speak, and we just want to listen to you. We will be taking notes and recording and making an effort to identify the questions that were raised so that we can respond to them either in the fiscal plan or through other communications that best address the questions. So that's our structure for this evening, and I think it's Lindsay Ruby who would like to come up and speak.
My name is Lindsay Ruby. I'm an attorney here in Logansport. I've been hired on behalf of those landowners opposed to the annexation. I'm located at 224th Street here in Logansport. I have a few questions. I'm told they're not going to be answered, but I at least want to get the concerns that I've seen. One of the major concerns is we've seen the fiscal impact plan, and Waste Management their taxes are significantly going to increase if they are annexed into this area. And a concern for many of the landowners and myself living out in the county is whether we are going to face an impact from this increase in taxes, whether it be trash pickup, or if I take a load of something over to the dump, whether those rates are going to increase due to the offset, them trying to fix the taxes. I don't know if that's anything you control, but it's definitely a concern for the landowners. Another question that we have is water and sewer has been brought up several times. I think there's been a couple instances where we've been told that water and sewer is not required to be run to the annexation area. And the question is, in the fiscal plan, it states that within 3 years it has to be equivocal to what would be offered to the city. So I would like an answer of what the manner is that it's provided to the city, and what estimated cost it would be to a landowner to get that brought to them. If septics and wells at some point in the future, if they're not required to hook up right now, if in the future they fail, in order to replace those, if they're not required to hook up, will they be allowed to fix their wells? Because to me, I believe there are ordinances or codes that would not allow them to get a new well or get a new septic system. So those are things that many are concerned about. Also, another concern is that if new businesses do come into this area, it is a high tax rate area, and I think that's been one of the issues with getting people to come here. If they do come, is the city prepared to offer them tax abatements or incentives to get them here as far as water hookup and sewage? And if they do that, then who is going to bear the cost or the burden of that? If we're giving businesses incentive to come here, are the taxpayers of Logansport going to be paying more in taxes to make up for that difference? I did have a question whether the city does plan to provide fire hydrants. I know it's in the fiscal impact plan, and I'm not sure whether that was addressed when we met with the mayor specifically. But the issue with that was we had briefly talked about the insurance rating, the ISO rating, and if there are no fire hydrants to be put into the annexed area, would that actually make it a split insurance rating where it's not going to do anybody any good to have a 4 rating because they're in the Logansport municipality, but then it's a split rating because there's no hydrants and things provided to those areas? So whether or not there's hydrants is just a question we had. A question was posed, how much it would cost to run stormwater drainage to each landowner, and also how much it was going to cost the city to plow the additional approximately 23 roadways that's going to be added in. I also had a question on the boundaries, whether that would be county or city plowing those roads, so that people would know whether they're going to have the county or, I don't know. I mean, that's an issue. And I don't know if that's been determined yet. And one of the biggest questions that I do have, there appear to be, well, everybody except for the businesses seem to be getting the agricultural exemption in the fiscal impact plan. And a lot of those properties are residential. They're under the 5 acres and not actually zoned agricultural. So I'm wondering how they are receiving the agricultural exemption, and whether the DLGF has been contacted, and whether that's been okayed with them, or whether that's going to be done in the near future to make sure that that can happen. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is Lisa Hanson?
Hi, I'm Lisa Hanson. I live at 350 South here in Logansport. The second page, the council also, I just wanted to let you know, on the back page, you have received some comments from some elderly people that are in the annexation area that could not be here this evening, and they just wanted you to know their age and just kind of where they stood at that. So that's what the back page, the third page, is for. Some of the questions that I have. Okay, we can do that. We'll go ahead and do that. Dear respective city council members, the proposed annexation of county southwest of Logansport would be detrimental to a large group of citizens. Many citizens in this area are elderly and on fixed incomes. Any potential tax increases in stormwater fees would impact these individuals. One example is Jim and Betty Dillon. They're 85 and 86. They are on fixed incomes and cannot attend the meeting for health reasons. Patty Michaels, 70, widow, on fixed income. Sally Short, 86, is a widow with deteriorating health and on fixed income. Mary Margaret Muhlhausen, 91, on a fixed income. Don Buer, World War II medal veteran, 93, widower, has served God and his country. He feels directly attacked by the proposed annexation because he is on a fixed income and cannot afford any added expenses. These individuals are just a few of the many in the area who would be directly affected by the proposed annex. I am speaking on behalf of these people who cannot physically attend this meeting. If these individuals were your parents or grandparents, would you still vote in favor of the annex when you knew they could not afford the proposed changes? And thank you very much for listening to these people, and consider them when you guys are voting. Respectfully submitted, senior citizens of Cass County living in the proposed annex area. First question I have, and I have this to the council, is in your fiscal plan, which was dated March the 11th of this year on page 5, it says that the annexation areas are projected to begin developing within the next 10 or plus years, with the southeast annexation area to potentially begin development almost immediately upon approval of the project. My question is, what development is on the immediate horizon for the southeast annexation area? Here's another question, where is the proposed location for the pyrolyzer plant? And how will the pyrolyzer plant affect us in the community, the environment, such as river, air, ground, water? Also, second question, the mayor at the May 9th City Council meeting stating that no additional policemen would be added on that same fiscal plan dated March the 11th on page 10 specifically indicates the need for 1 to 2 additional police officers. So there's just being kind of a contradiction there. Third question, does the council know that in this proposed annex area there is roughly 800 plus acres that will never be able to be developed on? That takes in landfill, there's some forestry out there, you have engineering aggregates that is limestone, so out of your 3,200 acres, there are some acres that cannot be developed on. And then also, you know, when you guys go to vote on this annexation and these proposals, take into some other considerations that there's going to have to be a lot of ordinances looked at and changed upon for this area. And if you guys want to keep our lifestyle and not have us change what we're doing, you know, there's hunting that goes on out there, there's open burn that goes on out there. We have parties where we don't need parking permits. You know, this is our livelihood, and you guys are going to have to look at a lot of different ordinances changed for just a special group of people. And why go through all that problems? You know, we just don't understand the annexation and why you want to, and you keep saying you're not going to change our livelihoods. Well, you're going to have to look at what we have compared to what the city doesn't have. You know, there's livestock and that type of stuff. Lindsay also alluded to a little bit about the DLGF. My question here is, have you guys directly contacted the DLGF? Have you got approval to do what you have done by giving everybody in this area except business the tax exemption? Because if it is zoned residential, when you go to apply that, it's not going to pick up the tax exemption. If it is zoned ag, then it will. So you're going to have to look at, is the DLGF going to have to make a dummy territory? What has been said to the Department of Local Government and Finance? Because the numbers that you guys have, by just saying, okay, everybody gets to have the tax exemption, I don't think you legally can do that. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Angelique Whitlam, thank you for correcting me.
Hi, my name is Angelique Whitlam, 2380 South Roberts Way. My main concern regarding the annexation plan is really where the boundaries have been placed. I live in a fully developed residential area, and I'm yet to understand why we would be incorporated into this portion. There really is no development in our region. We have a residential area, and they have addressed, you know, the concern on how do we get this tax exemption as well. Not only that, as far as this annexation, I'm not understanding this region that we have a lot of agriculture, a lot of nature, a lot of environmental impact, in my opinion, that it would cause, especially with the pyrolyzer plant that's going to be in our area. Property taxes, you know, the reassessment of our values, everyone's stating, you know, our houses will be worth more, which means that our property taxes will go up because percentage-wise the cap would allow then for us to have to pay more taxes. You know, I'm not understanding why we would be incorporated as our region. There's not a whole lot of development, in my opinion, that we can have where Ivy Tech area has land for sale for plenty of development over the past several years that has not even been touched by anyone. So health-wise, you know, keep us out in the environment. Don't incorporate us into the city, in my opinion, because we do have a lot of freedoms there, and I feel that they will be impeded tremendously by this annexation.
Thank you. Beverly Malloy.
Hi, my name's Beverly Malloy. I reside at Roberts Way. The only thing I have to ask the council is that I spent about 4 hours ago in the courthouse at several of the offices there. And the general consensus from the ladies there is that no one's even come to them and asked them anything about this boundaries or anything about it. They're just like, you're pretty much, everybody's coming in telling us what's happening. We don't know. We don't have an official word from anyone about anything. So my question is, you know, why is that? Why isn't the county building, the auditor's office, even aware of what's going on? And that's all I have to say because they took my questions. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm quite sure of it, so I apologize in advance. Beverly, is it? Thank you so much. Help me out.
Yes, I'm Beverly Spitznagel, and I live in Roberts Way along with the others. And my big concern is property values. And another big question I would have to ask the council is, why for this pyrolyzer plant do you need a whole township? Seems to me a little excessive. We have a shortage of farmland now, and to develop good farmland is really out of the question. The development area from 18th Street east to 325 East, which is what your boundary is stated, there is very little room for development. You cannot access the highway, the new highway. The only access you would have is if you go west from 18th Street, and the only really good development, commercial, we're talking commercial development, would be where it's right across the street from Ivy Tech. The engineering aggregates has a hole maybe 40 feet deep, which is on top with limestone on the surface, maybe 7 to 10 inches of limestone. There's no development going to happen there. And that goes all the way up to 325 East. So I see no possible commercial development there. I do see that maybe industrial zoning, which could be changed after this annexation takes place. I do see that that's a possibility. And I don't know why you need the whole township just for one trash burning plant.
Thank you. Beth Billiard.
Beth Billiard, live at 84 East, 300 South. We have horses, we do hay. Most of the people, when you do anything in town, you have to have permits. Will we have to have permits to do our hay when we want to trim our trees, spray our fruit trees? it's just ridiculous wanting to put farm ground in town. You've taken enough. You don't need any more. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mike Billiard? Okay. Thank you. Doug Weaver?
Doug Weaver, 2263 Burlington Avenue. And my concern, I guess, I've got a couple of them for City Council to think about in this process. Number one, if the annexed area is, within the next 3 years, going to be brought up to the same code, the same speed that the city is, do we have any idea of the cost involved in running water and sewage to each street in order for each individual homeowner to be able to hook up to that? And the other concern that I have in that same scenario is that it's fairly well known at this point in time that the city of Logansport is under a $70 million federal and state mandate to separate stormwater and sewage. If this annexation area goes through, you're asking these people that are sitting behind me to take part of that same process and help pay for an ongoing problem that's been in Logansport for a number of years. And I can't honestly, for the life of me, figure out how any of you can sit there and ask these people to pay for a project that's going to have to be completed way before they were ever considered to be in this annexation area. And you know, the figures that we've gotten from you people are great, but nowhere in that plan does it tell me that there's another $60 a month per residential home that's going to be charged, and that's the estimate that came from Paul for the citizens of the city of Logansport. I just can't imagine that you're going to ask these people to pay that fee. And you can hide it, you can cover it, but if it comes about, that's what's going to happen. So when they're talking about fixed incomes and that kind of stuff, I have some real problems with that. Comment was brought up at one of the meetings that we've had in the past. If development needs to occur along the heartland, then pave the way for that property to be bought and developed, but do it in incremental pieces where it's going to be used and not encompass the entire south annexation area. That's just a ridiculous amount of ground to think that we're going to build the city of Logansport on all that ground. If we were full, if we were bursting at the seams in the city of Logansport, I'd agree with you. The number of buildings that we're tearing down, the number of houses that we're tearing down, we've got space to build, we've got space to grow in the city of Logansport. If we want to pick certain areas, if we want to spot certain areas, then buy the property and develop it. But it doesn't call for an annexation. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to apologize again. Larry Steinbarger? Okay. Ron Scott? Thank you. Alvin Menner? Menon, thank you. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I'm at 3188 East, 500 South, which is outside of the annexed area. However, I've got 137 acres inside that I'm concerned about. I have heard several radio announcements telling us how great this is going to be to the people, how little cost it is to us as taxpayers, that that we have no additional expenses. We're going to get utilities cheaper. We're going to be able to get our trash picked up, and one thing and another. Is there any advantage for the city to do this for us? And at what cost is it going to be for the city? We're hearing how great the city's trying to take care of us. It looks to me like that maybe they're trying to cover a whole bunch of bills with a sheet telling us how good it is, and there'll be a lot of expenses in underneath there. And, you know, I don't understand the need for ground. 5 years ago, I went to LEDF and offered to sell my property, for them a right to buy my property at $10,000 an acre. And at that, you know, I offered it to them for $100,000. I was going to take the $100,000 and buy the property across from the industrial park, which was 7 acres, brought $70,000. It could have been bought at that time, and I would have included that in a $100,000 easement or a right to purchase plan. They kind of laughed at me. They don't need the ground. You know, that's just been 5 years ago. I'm tickled to death they turned me down because the ground's worth quite a bit more than $10,000 an acre today. So thank you. I just don't understand the boundaries. It looks to me like there's a lot of discrimination going on here. You know, we go to a point, we turn. We go to another point, we turn. And, you know, if you're wanting property tax, why didn't you go down 350? Oh, I know you don't want to put the water and sewage down that 350 there. It's all residential from one end to the other. So you don't want that. You want to get over here and get naked farm ground and one thing and another. You talk about a tax abatement, or you know, we won't pay taxes if we're agricultural zoned. How long is that for? I actually wanted an answer tonight, and I don't like the format of the meeting because I don't get any answers. But it's thanks. I just, you know, if you're going to be a man up there and run the place, have a pair to answer some calls. I could get off on a lot of different things, but we're here for annexation tonight, and that's what I'm going to try to stay on. But when we're discriminating around an area right next to Logansport, we all know what that is. It's down there at the elevator, White City. As far as I know, that's annexed out, not going to be accepted. Don't you owe them people just as much as you owe us? My goodness. You're going to take the airport out there, the property around the airport, except for about 5% of it. Now, what's wrong with that other 5%? Why don't you take the whole airport? You know, let's get our boundaries. Let's quit discrimination. I'm sick and tired of all this and hearing how great it's going to be. Well, if it's so great for us, why would Logansport want it? It's expensive to them. Why would you guys want any part of it? Now, if I'm going to be tax exempt for 10 years to increase, I'm not interested. If I'm exempt for the life of my property, as long as I own it, you know, that's a different story. And I think you as a councilman, not a one of you can answer that. And I think you need to look into it. But if I'm going to, as long as I've got the property, you know, and it's not going to change hands, then I'll never have a tax increase. But I know how many dollars I'm paying now for taxes, and I'll never pay a penny more. You can do whatever you want to do with the valuation. That's what I'll pay, because that's what you told me is going to happen. I'll never have to pay another tax increase. So those are the things that I'm here for, and I would appreciate a few answers. We come for a meeting for, I thought, to be informed. This is not an information meeting. This is for your information, not ours. You know, where's some answers at?
But this is a
When
public,
are we going to get some answers?
this is a public hearing, but thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate it.
When are we going to get some answers?
We've had several meetings. Sir, your time is up, okay?
I'm going to sit here until I get that answered. I'm sorry. You go get the sheriff, you go get the chief of
Sir.
police, I don't care.
Sir, we've-
I want to know when we can expect an answer.
We've had multiple meetings already, when we've been more than happy to sit down and talk with landowners, and we're writing down you've seen me taking copious notes, I have your notes, and we're going to incorporate answers into our fiscal plan or in other formats, which will be out within a week.
When do you have your meetings? When us farmers are in the field planting? Yeah, that's real convenient for you.
It's not intentional, we just...
Oh, bull.
It's not...
Baloney.
Sir,
Hey, if you want to, you can go back and feed them stories to people in Indianapolis. You ain't feeding them to me. I don't bite that stuff. I don't chew on that stuff. I want an answer.
I don't
and
appreciate
wanna
being
know-
called a liar, so if you would just sit down, I think we're done.
I'm
You're just
not
arguing
telling
with
you
me.
you're a liar. You said that
But-
yourself.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I
you
said we
did,
would
just
provide
now.
answers, and you said that I'm not telling the truth, so I think you just
I'm
need
not
to sit
telling
down,
you
sir.
that.
Sir,
I'm telling you
Sir.
that you set those meetings
would
up.
Lena Stout like to come up, please? We're going to move on. We're going to move
When
on,
are we going
sir.
to get a
I told you
notice
I-
of a chance to be answered?
I told you that we would
When are we
provide an
gonna get
answer within a
answers?
week, is what I'm being told.
When are we going to get answers?
Within a week. No, you're not. Within a week. Okay, within a week.
When are we going to get the information to when that meeting is? 5 minutes
within
before
a
or
week.
10 after, 10
We will
minutes
provide
before?
you an answer within a week. We've sent everything, right? We provided the fiscal plans. It's all a matter of public record. It's all available. We've provided it all. And we mailed copies to everyone that was in there.
But there has
But-
never been anything in there.
Okay.
There has not
As
been
we
one thing
indicated,
that has told me how long my tax abatement is going to be.
And I
There's
indicated
nothing.
within a week, we will provide a response, okay? Thank you for your comments. We've listened to them, and I've got them written down, and we will prepare a response,
Okay.
okay? Sir, we have one person speaking at a time, okay?
One other little thing I'd like to ask. If I decide to take my address, my mailing address, off of that property that is going to be annexed, and put a mailbox there and pick up my mail, can I run for mayor the next election?
Thank you.
I'd like that answered too, please.
Lena Stout?
Hi, I'm Lana Stout. I live at 2020 Burlington Avenue. And I guess I'm kind of under the impression that this meeting was also to get answers. I'm looking around the room, and I apologize, but I don't think I see any of our county commissioners. And maybe they should be part of this, since they're supposed to be our representatives to our community. I don't know what the cost is going to be to me and my neighbors when it comes to water and sewage, trash, any city services that my taxes are going to be increased for that you're not going to be providing. Let's say, you say in your description that in 2015 you would provide fire and police. But when is your taxes going to be in effect if you do annex me? Our area also is not able to be developed. We're already residential. There's no place to build. It's right there where the highway is, going across 29. And I just have some concerns of, I don't see any benefit to the people in the county for this annexation. I see a benefit to the city because you're going to be getting more revenue and more taxes. But I don't see where you're going to be benefiting the community in the county at all. I'm not for it.
Thank you. Jackie Davis. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Welcome to speak. Are there others who are within the city that would like, I guess we don't have anyone signed up, so I guess we'll move on to the next list, which is Terry Ayers.
My name is Terry Ayers. I live on 350 South. I'm also a member of the committee of the Concerned Citizens. I've had a number of conversations with my neighbors, and what I hear over and over is assurances by the city that this is going to be addressed, that's going to be addressed, we're going to take care of this, we're going to make sure that doesn't affect you in a negative way, we're going to do this and this and this. And that's great. But what I see in 5 years or whatever down the road is, say 10 years, I don't know. Administrations change. And what assurance can you give my neighbors that these assurances that are put in writing, I was even told, we'll put them in writing. You know, I just have a problem with that because I don't see that you guys can, all of you individuals on the council can assure that. You cannot. You can overturn something if you decide that it's in the city's best interest to change that. So you can't tell these people. I don't believe you can really honestly assure them that those things are not going to come to pass. A lot of things happen. I just found out that the zoning for the industrial park was changed. I live right across the road. You develop that lot across the road from my house, I'm going to have an ethanol plant in my front yard. Now, when that industrial park was established, I was assured there would always be a green area and it was going to be moderate industrial. That's changed. And that is my standard of living. That is my, you're taking my home since 1971. And so you tell these people that this is going to happen and we're going to take care of this and that, but things change. And over the past 40 years, since my parents bought that house in 71, I now have an industrial park to the west of me. I have a runway that is 1/8 of a mile from my kitchen window to the south of me. I have a landfill that is tripled in size to the southwest of me, and I have a Hoosier Heartland going in to the north of me. To say that progress is in my backyard is an understatement. And all this has happened over the years. I do not believe you can, in all honesty, assure these people that these things are not going to happen. I don't believe it. If it is in the city's best interest, you're going to do what's best for the city. Of course you are, because that's what your jobs are. Well, you know what? Our jobs are to maintain our way of life. And if I wanted to live in the city limits, I would have moved a long time ago. But I don't want to. And none of my neighbors want to. We don't want your services. We don't need them. People who live in the country, for the most part, we're an independent lot. Take care of ourselves. I don't need your water and sewage. I have my own, thank you very much. I don't need you to plow my roads. If I need to get out, I'll call my neighbor down the road and he'll come up and plow me out. He does every winter. You know, on and on and on. So we appreciate it, and I think a statement was made about, you're talking about all of these great things for the citizens that are being annexed. That's your opinion. And yes, it's an emotional issue, but it's also a financial issue for every one of us as well. So I would like an answer as to how you can assure this, because I don't think you can. I just really don't think you can. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Michael Berkshire.
Good afternoon. I wasn't going to sign up, but somebody talked me into it.
Michael Berkshire, 528 Bate Street, Logansport, Indiana. As you know, I've been appearing before these council meetings for approximately 13 years now through various administrations. And the one thing that I would like to ask this council and this administration is to be honest with these people that you're attempting to annex. Let them know what's really going to happen. Let them know if they really are going to have to hook up to sewer and water. Let them know the rules and regulations that they are going to have to abide by once the code enforcement officer starts knocking on the door, and he will. Rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, he will. It's my understanding that the administration says there will be no need to add any public safety for this area. I find that hard to believe. The area is probably about a third the size of Logansport is now. And if I remember correctly, in the previous administration, when they closed down one of the fire stations in the East End, Ted, I think you were one of the biggest opponents to that closing, saying that it would leave Logansport woefully undermanned for fire protection. That station is still closed. And with an undermanned department, as you said to the previous administration, Mr. Mayor, you intend to cover this new area south of the river, south of the railroad tracks? I don't think this has been really well thought out. These people have every right to remonstrate and not to be asked to come into the city. I live in the city. I know the rules. I know the regulations. I've sat here and watched the changes, and I can say unequivocally, that the administrations of this city cannot be trusted to keep their word in a good portion of the cases. Okay, that being said, I would like to say just one more thing. As I was sitting back there, Ms. Spitznagel walked up, sat down, and gave her concerns. And the one thing I noticed was that Mayor Franklin was back there checking his text messages. How can you pay attention to Ms. Spitznagel when you're checking your text messages? That is an indication of what this administration thinks of its citizens. They don't want to listen. And yes, Ted, you will see me run against you for mayor in 2.5 years.
James Mayhill.
I'm Jim Mayhill, Washington Township trustee, live at 2604 South US 35. I am not in the annex area. I am very concerned for the people of Washington Township. First and foremost, Mr. Menon brought to your attention that you're actually keeping people from being in this annexation area down at White City and 18th Street. I have to provide fire protection for these people. Consequently, I'll have to go through the city limits to get to this area. And if they're called, Logansport won't come. I'll have to provide from Walton, which we do now. I feel that the people in Washington Township feel very comfortable with the arrangements we have right now, and I haven't heard otherwise. And also, on another point, the city of Logansport has been stealing from Washington Township for 2 decades by taking tipping fees from the city dump. They take a percentage of the tipping fees and put it in their coffer. Washington Township has not got 1 dime, and we put up with the stench, the dirty roads, and the inconvenience of having that city dump out there. Why you're annexing a city dump, I'll never know. I have no idea why you'd be doing that. I also, like Mr. Menon said, am very discouraged tonight that we're not getting any answers whatsoever. Thank you very much.
Jim Brew.
I have changed clothes. My name is Jim Brew. I live in the city on Market Street, and I support the citizens in Washington Township who oppose annexation. I think that the good citizens from Washington Township have done a darn good job of raising questions. I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to go that route. First of all, it is interesting that this is called a public hearing, and so the public shows up because in a democracy you figure, well, it's a chance to go downtown, ask questions, and get answers. But in fact, at this meeting tonight, just like at the Pyrolyzer meeting, when you got these out-of-town lawyers coming here, and they give a 5-minute limit to talk, that's not democracy, it's not a public hearing, and it's unfortunate that it reminds people to focus upon the kind of service that you get from the people in power. We've got to keep track of our money because they're almost through $1.5 million working on that, and it's a big deal, and it's not a game, even though it sort of looks like one. My focus as a lawyer is looking at the law that I've just passed around. Thank you. That is the law that is a summary of the prerequisites for annexation. Fortunately, there are some rules here. So the rule that I want to focus on out of the book, and they use the same books, I think, in Indianapolis, I've highlighted the rule about the requirement that the fiscal plan, which is a prerequisite, must include a showing that services of a capital improvement nature, that's when you spend bucks to build things, including street construction, street lighting, sewer facilities, water facilities, and stormwater drainage facilities will be provided to the annexed area within 3 years after the effective date of the annexation in the same manner as those services are provided to areas within the corporate boundaries. I have heard members of the council, this council, and this mayor publicly state that there is no requirement that water and sewer be extended to these proposed annexed people who already live there. We're not talking about a development. That's a different set of rules. We're talking about people who already live there. I respectfully request the answer I'd like is cite the law, cite the statute, cite the case law, give legal reasoning that shows this rule that applies to everybody does not apply to you all. May we proceed in our effort to maintain the health of this community. Pyrolyzer is just going to be another version of the big old landfill out there. And it is interesting to look at the hearts of these Washington Township people in saying that it's discriminatory to leave out the white city residents. Now maybe we can think of a creative legal strategy to include those people, maybe not. But look how power is being exercised here. The people that need the most are being skipped over. Whom is being served by this idea that's being advanced so far by this city council, the majority of this city council so far, and by this administration. Thanks.
Mercedes Brew.
Thank you. Mercedes Brew, 1315 East Market Street. I'm looking at this from a resident of the city, although I certainly sympathize with the people who are in the annexed area. Just looking briefly at your fiscal plan, it seems to me that when the city has 100 miles of streets and the annexed area has 23 miles of streets, to stretch our fire protection by an additional 23% without adding any equipment, I object to that. I object to my fire protection, which I'm paying for, being stretched thinner than it already is. Now, maybe our fire department does answer calls out there, and I hope that there's a cooperative agreement. I don't know about that. But the fire protection that the city people are paying for will be stretched even thinner than it is now, and that goes for the police also. I can't imagine that adding 1 or 2 officers to cover an additional 23 miles of streets for patrolling and answering calls 24 hours a day is going to cover it. I think your master plan is a low estimate. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, thank you for taking the time to share with us your comments. And at this time, I will turn the gavel back over to the mayor to conclude the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss you? Well, then please, by all means, come forward. I'm sorry, that was inadvertent. I apologize. Thanks for calling it to my attention.
Excuse me here, I'm not feeling the best. Drink of city water on the way in. My name's John Combs. I live at 2910 South County Road 325 East. And you've got me right by the corner on this city deal. First and foremost, I want to say you folks have a tough job. Nobody in here is not wanting better for the community. Okay? We all know there's issues with your stormwater project. We know there's issues with power. We know there's issues from prior governings, prior boards, prior mayors. We're only human in this life. We make mistakes. The deal is how you fix them. That's what's most important. Mr. Mayor, I've known you a long time. Okay? Your assistant, Chris Armstrong, is a great lady. You've had a couple tough years coming in. I mean, we've got to be honest, it was an established government when you did. You're coming in, you're wanting to do the best that you can, and the board is wanting to do the best that they can for Logansport, and we applaud you for that. But you're making a mistake. You know, you're going back to it, just a few points. The limestone is 6 to 8 feet down. It's all over. Sit at my house when they blast down at the pit and watch my wife's glasses shake. I think it's kind of neat. You know, we let people know there was a good one go off. It's going to be tough to run those utilities. So if part of the plan, as everybody else has said, you're going to run this water, this sewage, this storm drain, it's going to be tough to do it. If there's a hidden agenda out there that some big business is going to come in and offer everybody $20,000, $25,000 an acre, don't send them my way. I'm not going to sell out. I like where I'm at. I come to Logansport, honestly, we shop. I do everything I can to buy local. Okay? I pay more, but I support the community. We want to support it. That's why we come and pay 20 cents a gallon more for gas. That's why we come and we buy local the best we can. Okay, even though out in the country, we're a little tired of seeing the berries on the front page all the time. It'd be nice to put a country school out there. It's a two-sided street. In my opinion, you're better to modify it. Take the area that you need, that you know somebody's going to grow on. Take it. If it's down there in a flat plain and you want to go ahead with this energy plant, and I applaud you for the thought, but don't know if it's going to work, just take the areas you need. If we need the money to help pay for some of these projects that you got because of taxation, you better take the money and buy lottery tickets, citywide, okay? Don't take it from us and put us underneath a set of rules that we didn't ask for. Thank you for the compliment, for wanting for deciding that you want people like us in your city. No, thank you. No, thank you. We don't want it. As many people said, if they want, I lived in town once for 6 months. That's plenty. You couldn't put up with me. But you know, people's talked about White City. We all know where White City's at, and Mr. Brew alluded to it, and other people. Those are the people that need your help with your services. And when you folks took an oath of office, surely there's got to be some morals and ethics in here about what you're doing and the decisions that you're making and who you're really helping. If you want to help the ones that need the help. Within your heart, okay, if you really want to know what it's like, let's swap residences. Okay, I wouldn't last 5 minutes in town. Okay, come on out to my place, see what it's like, and then tell me you want to live under the auspices of the city. You won't. That's why we're there. I mean, we talked about an environmental impact study, and you don't have to do it till you drill or run the pipes or whatever. Well, you're going to have to do it for the power plant. And to me, it'd be prudent to do it first and prior, and then go forward and make the moves and steps in a proper fashion. Who's going to control the mosquitoes? Is the city going to come out and fog our woods? I mean, there's just so many things that you have here that we take care of ourselves. So we don't want to be under the city plan and sit back and wait for you to come take care of us. We'll take care of it ourselves. Have you got a hold of the DNR? We have had confirmed bobcat sightings out there. Is any of this annexation and commercialization going to hurt any of the wildlife? I mean, there's lots of little things we could throw out there that's truly meaningless, but it's in our heart and it's what we're wanting. The vote is tonight on whether you're going to annex. Am I correct? You're
No.
putting it off?
It's just a
When
public
is the
hearing.
vote? June 24th? Okay. How many here vote? Is it everybody on the council and the mayor vote for it? I know that. I guess maybe if I can get an answer out of them at some particular point. I know, NASA, but what I'm trying to say is a handful of people is going to determine the future of a lot. Please remember that. Your responsibility is extreme. Okay? Your fiscal plan is askew. I brought that up at the last meeting. I mean, as we go forward, the numbers aren't correct. Please don't depend upon that plan or use that as reasoning. It's askew. It's assumed everybody gets trash collection. It's assumed we're paying for this, and we don't. So your numbers are not accurate. It looks good on the paperwork to say that we're getting a benefit, but your numbers are askew. And I think given that the oath of office that you've taken and the sense of your responsibility, that should be thought about and corrected. Only thing I could say besides, in my opinion, go west, build out there, that's where it's needed, okay, is, I'll tell you what we'll do. Everybody move out into the country. We'll flatten Logansport and let Alvin and Jack Chambers farm. To me, that's about the same thing. You're wanting to come in and make us a city. Okay? So, I took notes here. And the last thing I've heard, there's been a couple statements made by people that if we do a petition of remonstrance, that retribution will come to us. So if that's the case, then I guess we need to gird up our loins because we will do a petition of remonstrance. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Did I inadvertently skip over anyone else who signed up? It's okay. Thank you.
All right, just to wrap it up, we will try as hard as we can to provide answers, and we're going to try to do it within a 1-week period. We still have the addresses on file. Every address that we use to send correspondence to you is the best record on file at the county building. We will use those addresses again. If you would like to provide a new address, please call the mayor's office. Let us know your mailing address. We will do everything we can to provide the answers within a 1-week period of time. We're working on it. We want to work with you. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.